beignets, and booze, Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort seems to have it all. Chill vibes, check. Mardi Gras theming, check. A fairly reasonable price in a Disney sense, that is. Check-a-rino, but does its fun atmosphere and moderate cost still make it worth choosing above all the other resort options on Disney World property? Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today we're traveling away from Orlando and into the heart of New Orleans. Okay, not really, we're still in Florida, but Port Orleans French Quarter's laid back and jazzy vibes might make you question if you've accidentally stumbled into a wormhole and gotten spit out into the depths of Louisiana. Which doesn't sound very good, but I promise it's good. Disney's spin on the French Quarter may not put you directly on Bourbon Street, but it's got a lot of fun features that might be the perfect fit for you. But that doesn't mean this resort is 100% perfect. There are a few kinks thrown in the mix here that may steer you toward one of the other resorts instead. This one though is pretty well respected and pretty well loved, but we're going to tell you those pros and cons. For now, we're going to break down all the details. Let's talk a little bit about atmosphere. You're not going to find full-on Mardi Gras parades down these cobblestone paths, but French Quarter does allow you to experience the New Orleans festivities in a nice, relaxing atmosphere. Now, just because this hotel has laid-back vibes doesn't mean it isn't vibrant. There's colorful buildings, and they house all the hotel rooms along this resort. The assortment of greens and pinks, yellows and blues resemble those you're going to find in the historic French Quarter district in the real live New Orleans. But color isn't all these buildings have going for them. You've also got wrought iron balconies surrounding the room walkways that overlook quiet, picturesque courtyards that are bright and cheery with flowers and fountains. And if you want Spanish moss, weird request for Disney, but hey, they've got Spanish moss here too. And once the sun goes down, the cozy street lamps lighting the cobblestone paths ignite to provide a warm, fuzzy glow to help light your nighttime walks and make you look pretty great. Now, here's something a little weird. When I was living in New York City, I didn't really like coming to this particular resort because it does feel so city-like. When I left New York City to come to Disney World, I always wanted to stay in one of the more beachy hotels, so it really felt like vacation to me. Coming down here, because the hotel is sort of laid out in cobblestone streets and it does feel like you're walking along streets, like there's little sidewalks and stuff like that, it does sort of feel like you're part of the city, you're part of New Orleans. So do I think the rest of you are going to be super weird like me and not want to go stay at this hotel because you didn't want to be in a city, quote unquote, which isn't really a city because it's a hotel in Florida? No, I just wanted to let you know, just heads up. One of those little weird AJ things. Now, the buildings are set up to give the hotel more of a community feel rather than a large, busy Disney resort. It's not modern, it's not bustling, but if you're wanting something more low-key, French Quarter definitely caters more toward that vibe. That being said, there's not much that screams Disney at this hotel. You won't be walking past a ginormous area like you would at Disney's Art of Animation Resort, or see a larger-than-life Woody like you would at All-Star Movies. So if your kiddos are hyped to see their favorite characters around their home away from home, you're not going to find that here. What you will find, however, is a year-round Mardi Gras celebration. From the moment you step into the lobby and notice the brightly colored coins tossed into the fountain, or see the jazzy alligator playing his heart out on the clarinet near Doubloon Lagoon, you'll know for sure you're checking into a hotel that's ready to party. In a family-friendly sense, of course. This is Disney we're talking about here. One side of the hotel sits on the Sassagoula River, which adds to the remote bayou-ish feel of the area. I know bayou-ish isn't a word, but trust me, it works here. And though French Quarter does expand across multiple buildings, this resort is much smaller compared to other moderate resorts at Disney World. Caribbean Beach Resort, for instance, is very expansive and requires a lot of walking to get anywhere, to your room, to the lobby, to the main pool, to the bus stops. But French Quarter is compact. It's easy to get from point A to point B wherever you want to go at the hotel. So that makes for a very efficient stay if you're staying for fewer days. Don't let the term moderate price fool you. Much like value resorts can still push you over that $200 per night line, moderate resorts can still be pretty pricey, and that goes for Port Orleans French Quarter as well. During the off-peak season, not including popular seasons like summertime or the winter holidays, expect to pay between $300 and $350 per night for your room if you don't have a discount. During the busier times of year, prices can get as high as the mid-$400 range, which yes, isn't nearly as expensive as deluxe hotels like Disney's Grand Floridian or Riviera, but $400 a night is still $400 a night. After 3 nights, you might be able to pay for a month's rent at an apartment or townhome. And speaking of New York, when I was living in New York, 3 nights at Port Orleans French Quarter probably would have covered a month's rent for me. This is the same kind of pricing you're going to find for standard rooms at the French Quarter sister resort, Port Orleans Riverside, as well as Disney Coronado Springs Resort, which is over in the Animal Kingdom area of hotels. Not to pick on Caribbean Beach Resort again, but the prices over there are going to run you a bit more. Then again, you are paying for that added Disney Skyliner convenience at Caribbean Beach, so if you're planning on hitting up Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios often during your trip, the added cost for Caribbean Beach might be worth it, maybe. That's a topic for another day.
And then there are the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort, which are a whole other playing field. For about the same price you're paying for a standard room over at Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter, you can get an entire cabin with a full kitchen, living room, bedroom, full bathroom, private patio, closing bedroom door, which makes a big difference, and even an outdoor grill. So you're going to be getting a whole lot more in-room amenities at Fort Wilderness than you will at French Quarter. But then again, transportation to and from the parks will be a little trickier since you'll be roughing it out in the middle of the woods. It all depends on what's more important to you, travel convenience or in-room convenience and space.
Okay, let's talk rooms. These Mardi Gras vibes have got me pumped and ready to, start taking saxophone lessons or something, but how do the French Quarter guest rooms compare to the rest of the hotel? Are they just as immersive? The answer is yes and no. True to theme, each room is styled after the OG French Quarter with elegant and ornate design work, but you're going to find a lot more colors on the outside of the building than you do inside. The rooms are nice enough, they're classy and vintage, but they're underwhelming compared to what you might find at the other hotels like Art of Animation or Animal Kingdom Lodge or even Riverside. Those tend to incorporate more Disney elements and decor into their rooms. You got a few options when it comes to what you'll wake up and see outside your window each morning, so take your pick. You got a standard view, garden view, river view, or pool view. Each of these options includes 2 queen beds, which you'll be super happy to see after a long park day, or you can choose a room with a king-size bed instead. All the better to collapse when your feet just can't take another step. Each room will also have the standard moderate level Disney amenities like a coffee maker, mini fridge, safe, and a flat screen TV. Even though you won't be walking as far to your room here as you might at other hotels, you can request to be closer to the action, and by action we mean the lobby, dining, and shopping area, by asking for a specific building, like building 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you want to be closer to the action and the boat launch, you can narrow down your request to just buildings 2 and 5. Disney won't always be able to guarantee your room request, but they'll try their hardest. Okay, let's talk location of this hotel. French Quarter lives in the depths of the Disney Springs Resort area, which means you've hit the shopping, dining, and entertainment jackpot. To get to Disney Springs, all you gotta do is take a quick boat ride on one of the Sassagoula River ferry boats, which will take about 15 minutes or so to get over to Disney Springs. Not gonna lie, I could probably ride this boat back and forth a few times over and be content with my Disney day. Piped in jazzy tunes and a calm, cool ride down the river is awesome. As far as the theme parks go, you're gonna be closest to Epcot. The rest of the parks, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, are each about a 15-minute bus ride away. But it's not like you can walk to Epcot, you're still gonna bus there. So yep, any park you want to go to from here is going to be a bus, unless you count Disney Springs as a park, in which case you can get a boat. Now let's talk transportation. Like I said, there's only buses to and from the parks from this particular location, and there's only one bus stop for this resort. So once you get on, you won't have to make multiple stops at multiple stations to pick up more guests all around the resort, like Caribbean Beach, or Coronado Springs, or Port Orleans Riverside, the sister resort to this one. Now, every once in a while, the buses will share stops with Port Orleans Riverside, in which case, you're gonna have multi-stops. Speaking of Riverside, that hotel's real easy to get to from the French Quarter. Just stroll along the Sassagoula and you'll get there lickety-split. That way, you have even more restaurants at your disposal. Now, speaking of restaurants, everyone remain calm. The beignets are here, and I promise to talk them up in all their fluffy powdered sugar glory, especially since we were missing them for such a long time. Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter offers a variety of classic New Orleans staples, as it very well should. But what it doesn't have is its own table service restaurant. That's why it's important to know that the table service, Boat Rights Dining Hall, exists at Riverside next door. But if you're looking for a quick bite or drink, French Quarter can make that happen. By the way, the reason why there is a table service restaurant over at Riverside and not at French Quarter is because this hotel used to be both hotels together called Dixie Landings, and then they separated the two hotels, and Boat Rights happened to be on the Riverside side. So now these are two separate hotels that used to be one hotel. Now they're sister hotels, but they do share that table service restaurant. But FYI, you can use both pools. So you can use the pools over at Riverside if you're staying at French Quarter and vice versa. Now, that has nothing to do with restaurants, so let's go back to restaurants. For your typical quick service option, there's Sassagoula Floatworks and Food Factory. Sassagoula serves breakfast, lunch, dinner, and desserts like the ever-festive Mardi Gras king cake. For more savory options, however, you'll find Cajun-inspired foods like gumbo and jambalaya. It's really, really good jambalaya, by the way, along with American staples like cheeseburgers, pizza, and salads. Comfort food at its finest. Now, Scat Cats Club Cafe is a small spot across from Sassagoula Floatworks where you can get more Mickey beignets plus cocktails. And next door to the cafe is where you'll find Scat Cats Club Lounge with beignets. Lots and lots of beignets, but these aren't your average beignets. They're better. Better? Quoi? is that even possible? Sure it is, especially if you order a round of boozy beignets here. These can be infused with rum chata, Baileys, or Kahlua, your choice. You can also order savory beignets, yep, that's a thing, like the Scat Cat's beignets served with red pepper jelly, pimento cheese, and green goddess dressing to dip them in, and the oyster beignet po' boy. But seriously, did you even stay at French Quarter if you didn't get beignets at least once? If you time your visit here right, you can enjoy some live jazz music while you munch and sip away. So check the schedule to find out which nights these jazzerific artists are going to be taking the stage. Scat Cat's Lounge is open later than many dining places, meaning you can hit it up after the parks to curb any late night hunger pains. And while you're lounging by the pool, stop by Mardi Gras for some poolside eats. The food is pretty basic, but you can sip on some fun cocktails to channel those Fat Tuesday vibes. And if none of these restaurants tickle your fancy, Disney Springs is just a boat ride away with some of the best restaurants in Walt Disney World. But that's another video as well. Definitely go check it out after this. So we've already established you're not going to see any Mardi Gras parades down Bourbon Street here, but in case you forgot, sorry to burst your bubble, but there are still plenty of outdoor activities you can enjoy instead.
During the day, you can make reservations for a stroll around the resort via horse-drawn carriage.
In the evenings, you can warm up by a campfire, redundant in Florida, but just go with it, and watch a movie under the stars for free. For some casual exercise, if you're wanting to burn off some beignets to make room for more, there's a jogging trail alongside the river, as well as the opportunity to rent bikes and Surrey bikes too. If the kids need some indoor activities because the heat's just a little too intense, South Quarter Games Arcade is available for everyone to chill out for a bit, but if the heat's not getting to anyone yet, kids can also check out the resort's playground. And remember that clarinet playing gator I mentioned earlier? You can find him over at Doubloon Lagoon Pool. This place is super hard to miss considering the centerpiece is a 50+ foot long sea serpent water slide with a statue of King Neptune overlooking all the action. You know, ordinary stuff, totally run of the mill, nothing to see here. Doubloon Lagoon also has a kids play area and hot tub, which officially makes it party central, y'all. And let's not forget the gift shop. Souvenirs and other sundries can be found at Jackson Square Gifts and Desires. Do you think they'll trade a Spirit jersey here for a handful of Mardi Gras beads? I don't know. I don't know what to do with all these.
Don't forget how close Riverside is. You might want to take part in some of their recreational activities too, like their catch and release bass fishing, or you can fish the modern way by going on an excursion from the Riverside Levee Marina, or you can do it the old-fashioned way by picking up a cane pole and casting your line straight into the fishing hole on Old Man Island.
Now, is it worth it? Well, there's clearly plenty of perks of staying at Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. It's secluded, it's got beautiful and fun theming, and delicious Fat Tuesday eats. But when it comes down to it, is it worth it? Well, it is if you want a more accessible, moderate resort. Port Orleans French Quarter's compact layout, minimum bus stops, and nearby proximity to Port Orleans Riverside and Disney Springs makes it easier to get from place to place, especially after those sun-up to sundown park days. And despite the resort itself not having a ton of dining options, you're just a boat ride away to many, many more. Plus, honestly, I could just eat that jambalaya all day. It's also maybe a good idea to stay here if you're looking for a quiet, relaxing atmosphere. The theming may be based around one of the biggest parties in the US, but don't let that fool you. This hotel has those chill vibes through and through. Peaceful boat rides, late night jazz tunes, clean and comfy hotel rooms. It's a great option for those looking for a more romantic getaway for less of a price tag than deluxe resorts. And on that note, this might be the right hotel for you if you want to pay less for a nicer stay. Yep, French Quarter is still going to cost you a shiny doubloon, but when you compare it to other resort stays, you're going to get that nice secluded honeymoon setting for hundreds of dollars less than you'd find over at other secluded resorts in the Disney Springs area, like Old Key West and Saratoga Springs. This is going to be your less expensive alternative to places like Grand Floridian and Riviera. All right, so it might not be for you if you'd like more transportation options. You want to get to the parks faster. Though the transportation offered here isn't too shabby, it's not as speedy as those Skyliner gondolas or monorail systems. So if you want the ability to jump on one of those transportation methods to fly on over to Epcot or Hollywood Studios or zip into the Magic Kingdom, you may want to look into the monorail or Skyliner resorts instead. Now, though I gave it a hard time throughout this video, Caribbean Beach is a comparable price point to the French Quarter and gives you direct access to the Skyliner. But if you want potentially cheaper options, you can also check out Disney's Pop Century Resort and Art of Animation Resort, which also chill out on the Skyliner route. Now, maybe you want some more dining options, and this hotel isn't necessarily the one for you if you want lots of places to eat. French Quarter has a handful of quick Creole bites you can choose from, but the resort itself isn't a plethora of fine dining. Though you're more than welcome to boat on over to Disney Springs, you may want to choose a resort like Coronado Springs Resort if you're looking for a stay with a range of dining within walking distance from your room. And maybe you're looking for a stay that's a little more Disney-centric. Yeah, the clarinet playing alligator is fabulous, and yes, the whimsical colors of the buildings are eye-catching. But if you're traveling with kids and you want them to be really wowed when they open the door of their Disney hotel room for the first time, well, French Quarter's not going to give you that. But Port Orleans Riverside can, especially especially if you look into a stay at one of the royal guest rooms, which is decked out in princess accents, with a personalized welcome note from Tiana and a fireworks spectacular in each of the headboards. Overall, Port Orleans French Quarter is a great hotel that tends to fly under the radar. It's got a charming Louisiana atmosphere, several activities for kids and adults alike, and really, you're gonna say no to easy access to Mickey beignets? Yeah, didn't think so. I'm a fan of this resort. I always have been, except, when I lived in New York City and didn't want to be in a city away from the city. But I can remember reading the Disney message boards back in the day when social media didn't exist, kids, and everybody loved this resort, and they still love this resort. There's something about this place that just really ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. And one of the best parts about it, it can actually force you to unwind a little bit, which is quite a feat on a Disney vacation. So there we go, Port Orleans French Quarter. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching, everyone. We're talking about all the hotels in Disney World here. We have a YouTube video that ranks all of them for you, but we're giving each one its own video as well, just so you can see a really extensive list of pros and cons. Because we know you're going to spend a ton of money on your hotel in Disney World, and it really, really helps to have an unbiased review of it. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.